Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Kim from Emirates, which is one of the strangest animals in the industry, as Dermot knows better than I do, is because I consider myself as a fresh blood to the big elephants. Well, I'd say. Today, I'd like to give you a bit of a different perspective in terms of the partnership, because Emirates is one of the largest airlines in the world by international passengers, but we are the largest airlines which is not part of one of the three global alliances. So how we see the partnership driving the network growth, the sustaining our profitable growth. So it's particularly focused on Emirates and two other Gulf carriers. Before, there's a bit of old pictures that Dermot might know better than I do. So Emirates was established in 1985. The Sheikh Maktoum decided to launch the new carriers out of Dubai. A300s in 1986, we had only 3 aircraft, A300s, one 727 and 737. At the time, our timetables now is a bit of a thick like this, but at the time it was just a one leaflet because we operated on 3 destinations at the time. And that's the inauguration flights. Yeah. In 1985, we had a very small footprint in the world. From Dubai, we had only to Delhi, Karachi, and Mumbai. Now, we serve 134 destinations in all 6 continents. And our aim is to connect every major dot on the Earth with only one stop via Dubai, not multi-stops. In calendar year 2012 itself, we launched 15 new destinations, which is quite promising because we, as you know, we only operate the wide-body aircraft. The smallest aircraft we operated A330, 300, which is barely over 260 seats. So that's the smallest aircraft. And then we want to operate every destination with daily services wherever possible. So consider that all wide-body operations, 15 new destinations, daily flights. That's a kind of achievement. I would consider this a quite remarkable story because I'm just been in Emirates just over a year now, but from outside perspective as a long-time management consultant, it's been quite a remarkable growth. Starting in 1986 with only 3 aircraft, we have grown 80 aircraft in 2006, and now we operate 207 aircraft, all wide-body, of which 37s are A380. So how we see in 2020, we hope to mark 70 million annual passengers, and we want to see more dots on the map, which is over 170 destinations, compared to 134 as of now. We hope to see 250 aircraft, all wide-body. As you all know, we don't really looking at small aircraft. Well, for example, we have one A319 executive jet, which is kind of a different story, which is not our main flight, but we do not see any foreseeable futures in terms of domestic, not domestic, but narrow body operations. So as of now, Emirates is one of the world's fastest growing airlines, super growing, and one of the largest airlines by international passenger traffic. And we are the largest operator of A380 and the 777. And we are the only airline with a dedicated A380 terminal, which is a 20 double-deck air bridges. And as you know, in 2012, Emirates was ranked as one of the most valuable airline brands. How we achieve this? We are blessed with the strategic locations connecting the East and West. So we are talking about New Silk Road, connecting China, emerging markets, all of the emerging markets in Southeast Asia, to African destinations, oil field, natural gases, mineral resources. And then the traditional colony traffic from the UK and the European to Southeast Asia and African countries. So we're looking at that kind of a new traffic flows via Dubai with only one stop. So we are expanding our horizon in terms of our non-stop services. Our longest the flight currently goes to Houston and LA, which is just barely over 15 hours. As you see, it's just a pain in the ass as if you're not in the right cabin. So it's a longest flight, but we want to see some of those destinations we cannot cover because of the technical problems that Boeing and Airbus cannot provide as of now. So we want to expand our network horizon into further down there in Latin America, Santiago, Chile, Lima, Caracas, Auckland, Christchurch. All of those destinations we are looking at as a non-stop destination in the future. So how those three major Gulf carriers, obviously there are smaller regional Gulf carriers in the region, but well, I'm talking about the three major, Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad. So how those three Gulf carriers has established their presence in the marketplaces. So if you're looking at this chart, the all three carriers recorded a hyper growth for the past 10 or to 20 years. So while the global passenger capacity grew only 3.6%, considering all of that ups and downs, all the financial crisis in the 2008, and even then, before that, the September 11, 2001, all kinds of bad things that happened there. But we, the Gulf carriers, as I see it in terms of compounded annual growth rate, is a composite level of 17%. 17%. Emirates itself grew 14%, basically almost quadrupled its size. Qatar as well, and Etihad, which is even smaller, but in terms of growth rate, it's one of the hyper growth, one of the fastest growing airline in the world. And we are shaking up the traditional global alliance model. Directly, indirectly, all three Gulf carriers had a relationship with One World or One World member carriers. As you know, Emirates has established a strategic partnership with Qantas this year, and Etihad has growing its virtual network through equity alliances, so-called equity alliances, and they acquired 29% of Air Berlin. And Qatar just joined the One World as of October this year. So, in terms of airline partnership, how Gulf carriers establish its presence and how we see that alliance and partnership. We took a bit of a different path as Emirates. We are looking at our own network growth. And we look at very selective partnership. We are not going to seal the partnership just for the sake of the increasing number of partners. And we do not look at any equity partnership as of now. Times could change in the long term, but at the moment, we are not looking at any equity partnership. And we don't want to be a global partners as of now. Qatar is more of a traditional way of cooperations. And they are currently, as of now, they don't have any equity partnership, which I put a question mark because they are talking about any investment with other carriers, especially in India and in some of the parts of the region. And Qatar is part of the One World global alliances as of October. Etihad, it's a kind of a different animal in the market. Established in 2003, so it had to be catch up with the two other major carriers in the region. So they need to catch up, not just based on their own network, but also based on their virtual network expansion. So they went into extreme side of expanding their network, selling 34 codeshare partners. I'm talking about only Etihad marketed flights. So they put their Etihad code on other airlines operating market. And they do have for the other partners putting their codes on Etihad operations. So it's a 34 codeshare partner in just 10 years. It's quite remarkable. And they established it as one of the kind of a very strange terms, equity alliances, which is quite new to the industry. Tables just summarizes how those Gulf carriers stick in terms of airline partnership. As you know, Emirates and Qatar does not have equity partnership as of now. Etihad has all of the portfolios in terms of investments with Air Serbia, Air Seychelles, Air Berlin, Jet Airways, Virgin Australia, and Aer Lingus. Global alliances, Qatar just joined the One World. Codeshare partner in terms of Emirates has only 8, Qatar 9. We hope to see more upon joining One World memberships, and Etihad is at 34. So this chart stacks up how those Gulf carriers see the partnerships different in terms of how they grown their network. So virtual network itself shows when those three carriers put their codes on other carriers' operation, okay? So marketing code share. So the blue part of that is the own network, okay? So the bracket is 21%. The virtual network at Emirates is only just 20% of our own network, while Etihad is beginning their own network. So it's a kind of a different story, how we look at the airline partnership, what is the fundamental philosophy in terms of, for the past decade or two, we have grown the network. So from Emirates' perspective, this is purely Emirates' perspective, we see the airline partnership. We have a strong confidence in our network that we, with our own strength, with leveraging our Dubai hub, connecting all major dots on the map, we have a very strong confidence in our network to grow profitability in the future. We believe in innovative product and premium services. Given the size of network we have, we are probably say that we have a keeping up pretty good quality standards in terms of products we offering. All three major cabins. First, the business economy has over 1,000 channels of in-flight entertainment system, and we have operated pretty good services as well. We will look at product and service alignments between the Emirates and other partner carriers. We do not see a significant discrepancies. We do not put our codes on Chevy Airlines just for the sake of filling the gap. We are looking at long-term partnership, benefiting both airlines rather than short-term opportunities. So we're looking at beyond 5 years, beyond 10 years, beyond 20 years of horizon in terms of looking at partners. We are looking at quality partnership, not quantity. As I said, we don't look at all of the airlines in the world just for the sake of the increasing number of partners. Here on our network, the blues are our own network, the Emirates, and the reds are those flights that we put our codes on our partners. Obviously, there's lots of flights out of in domestic Australia with Qantas partnership, and with JetBlue out of US. We see lots of gaps we need to fill. Obviously, we know that, and we are working hard, moving forward to filling those empty, so-called white spots. So talking about Qantas partnership, it's one of the game-changing airline bilateral partnerships that's not part of One World, Star Alliance, or SkyTeam. It's a 10-year code-sharing frequent flyer program. So we're going forward the old trunk route between London Heathrow to Dubai and beyond to Australia. We are code-sharing every flight operate between both carriers, and we are doing some revenue sharing joint venture type of the partnership. So jointly, two carriers operate almost 100 weekly flights between Australia and Dubai. We are the largest carrier between the two markets. And 7 daily A380 services between Dubai and London Heathrow, which is quite iconic operations. So how Qantas and Emirates have benefited from this iconic bilateral relationship? Before Emirates and Qantas partnership, Qantas BA was the bilateral partnership between two carriers, and because of their regional hub in Asia, in Singapore and London Heathrow, all of those Qantas passengers from Australia has to connect 2 stops if they want to go to continental Europe. They had to connect in Singapore, and again in London Heathrow, which is not known as the best airport for transit passengers. And then all of those passengers, the flights via London Heathrow to continental Europe was a backhaul tracking. It's a pain in the ass in terms of all of door-to-door elapsed time. After, it's a shame for I regret to say that we've taken Singapore operation to Dubai, but both airlines are committed to operate at least we are committed to increase the further service out of Singapore, so which is more beneficial to local economy. After Emirates partnership, Qantas gained all European destinations out of Dubai as a one-stop. And Qantas is the only airlines which is allowed to operate out of Concourse A, which is world's first dedicated A380 state-of-the-art facilities. The only airlines that is allowed. For the same, Emirates gained a very lucrative business market out of Australia. As you know, the point of sale Australia is a lot higher yielding business market than other parts of the world. So because of the strategic partnership between two carriers, we have access to those very, very high yielding business markets in Australia. Another big strategic partner, JetBlue. We have gone a very good relationship with JetBlue out of New York, basically. That's one of our gateway. We are operating now 3 daily services from Dubai to JFK, 2 nonstop, 1 via Milan. So after codeshare, we saw over 20% of passenger growth beyond JFK destinations, because most of the long-haul services we operate to the U.S. markets, quite sizable portion of the passengers connect to beyond those gateway destinations. So we are not able to fill up the aircraft, those A380 operations to JFK now, which is over 500 seats per flight. So that strategic partnership, local market is very important. So we see JetBlue as a very important partner. And as of March next year, we are operating another East Coast gateway to Boston. So that's one of the strategic implications that we have considered into our decision-making process. That's why we wanted to go to Boston rather than other cities in the U.S. markets. Okay? So all in all, how we see the airline partnership from Emirates' perspective. Okay? We see the airline partnership as essential, very important, very essential to expand the markets, because it could expand the virtual network to some extent. Okay? And they fill the gap that we cannot operate. We cannot operate with profitability, because the market size itself is not enough to operate to accommodate our wide-body operation. That is over 250 seats per aircraft. And then it allows us to tap into a new market that we don't have presence in the local markets. And it could provide a more scheduled options to our customers, more data of operations, and then more frequent operations to that market. And it could bring incremental passengers and revenues as well. However, not all airline partnerships are beneficial in that it could confuse customers, with the various rules and policies in terms of baggage allowances, some of the ticketing policies. Emirates Airlines provide a pretty generous, amount of cargo, check-in baggage. We allow 30 kilograms for economy class passengers, to 40 kilograms of business, which is 10 or 20 kilograms higher than most of the carriers. If we are partnering with some of the carriers that have different rules, different policy, that could confuse and that could bring in lots of complaints from the customer. So we don't want to confuse, we don't want to disappoint those our loyal passengers, okay? And obviously, the partnering, if you are transferring your passengers to some market, to other airlines, absolutely it dilutes revenue, because all of the SLPs and prorate factors, it absolutely has the bottom line impacts on your profitability. And it could also affect your brand positioning. If you're partnering with kind of a shabby airlines, I would say it's a kind of cautious word, but if you're partnering with not well established in terms of global market, not even a local market, you are disappointed. You are stay away from those lucrative business travels and those loyal passengers. Okay, so this is all about it. A bit short and brief overview of how Emirates and other Gulf carriers see the partnership.
You were talking before about your partnership with JetBlue, and while I don't dispute JetBlue may be a quality carrier, how does the relationship with JetBlue mesh for your premium traffic?
Customer satisfactions among U.S. carriers by J.D. Power. So we see very positive relationship between two carriers, and moving forward, we expect to see more cooperation, more wider cooperation with JetBlue, as a, not just from JFK, but also as a Boston. So we see a very positive feedback from the customers and all of the interested stakeholders